Yahoo! Welcome, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love, and the dragons of the zodiac, Sagittarius. Welcome to your December 2018 report. Thank you so much for joining me on this video. As I've said, this is for my fellow Sagittariuses, Sagittarius, my ascendant sign, and my Mercury sign actually I have in Sagittarius. So this will be a rather interesting and fun reading because it'll be applicable to me as well. And I really do resonate with dragons, and I do feel like you guys are the dragons of the zodiac, if anything. But this is going to be for if you have your sun, moon, or rising in Sagittarius, or if you happen to be cross-watching. Perhaps you have your Mercury here, your Mars, your Venus. And this December is definitely going to be a month to remember. I think this whole year of 2018 has been a very challenging and humbling year, but also we have been given really this new lease on life, and this December is going to kind of cap it off to where it's like we've been put through the ringer, we've been put through so much this year, and this December, really the universe, God, in source perspective, is really wanting us to focus on celebrating our victory, celebrating how far we have come this year, celebrating how much healing we have come through, and celebrating this incredible new wave, this future that we're stepping into. Jupiter, of course, is here, and Sagittarius is in your sign, so you, of course, are feeling a lot more confident. You're feeling a lot more like yourself. You're feeling a lot more optimistic. You're feeling a lot more positive and expansive. So this is going to be a month to remember because, excuse me, we'll kind of look back on this year and be like, you know, last year was crazy, but at least we ended off with a very powerful and beautiful note. So what's going to be happening for you? Well, as far as astrological stuff that we should focus on for you, we actually pulled the card of Taurus. We pulled the cards of Taurus. And interesting enough, it's not going to really be anything that's happening in Taurus besides the moon. But we want to look at, of course, the ruling planet of Taurus, which, not counting the Earth, because the Earth is technically is really one of the rulers of Taurus. We look, of course, at Venus. Venus, which, of course, will be in Scorpio, your 12th house. But the great thing about it is that the Venus will be coming out of its shadow period. And that's going to be occurring on December 18th. And guess what also is happening on December 18th? The moon will actually enter into Taurus. So definitely around the 18th, you're going to be wanting to pay attention. This is also going to, of course, come towards the tail end of Sagittarius season. It's going to be, by that time, the sun will be at 26 degrees of Sagittarius. So it'll be right here near, on top of the galactic center point. You know, the galactic center point is this spot where it's essentially pointing to the center of the galaxy. And this spot has a pretty big orb. It's about 5 to 6 degrees of orb of influence. So the galactic center kind of represents like this galactic destiny and where we're heading as a collective. And it spans from about, I like to say about 25 to 26 degrees Sag to about 0 to 1 to 2 degrees of Capricorn. That's a really big influence. So when Venus comes out of its shadow period in Scorpio, remember, it went retrograde at 10 degrees of Scorpio. So on this day, it will actually hit 11 degrees of Scorpio coming out of the shadow period. Therefore, beginning the new cycle and beginning the new narrative of relationships and trust and really opening up to these deeper qualities of ourselves, these deeper aspects and these deeper power reserves that we have within us. When Venus comes out of shadow, the moon will be in Taurus. So this, of course, energy quincunxes you. So it's a bit of an awkward stare from across the room. The good thing is that you do have Jupiter in your sign, which is giving you this more of this confidence. The only thing is that Jupiter expands. It doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. So if you're focusing on negative aspects, if you're focusing on lack, if you're focusing on poverty consciousness, then you will get an expansion of poverty consciousness. However, if you are focusing on your fortune, the bliss that's in every day, if you're focused on gratitude, then you're going to expand with that gratitude. Venus coming out of the shadow on the 18th, and the moon being in Taurus, it will make a quincunx to Mercury, which will be in your sign, Mercury, which will be in its shadow zone. And it's also going to make a quincunx to Jupiter, which will be at 8 degrees, which is actually my ascendant. So that's kind of interesting. The moon will quincunx Jupiter, and the moon will almost It'll be the next day, December 19th, where the moon will actually oppose Venus, which will be the first opposition that the moon makes to Venus after it comes out of its shadow zone. So this is going to, of course, be dealing with issues of self-confidence, self-worth, value, where we really see ourselves going, our ability to manifest. Now that Venus is starting the new narrative, now that's actually being able to continue the story and to move forward into new territory in Scorpio, being able to go actually dive deeper into our emotions, into our soul, into ourselves, into these deeper currents and these deeper waters. Because you got to remember, 10 degrees of Scorpio. Venus did not get too far into Scorpio. So we still have a good bit of the Scorpio energy to deal with. Fortunately, though, Jupiter came through this sign to clean up a lot of the mess. Fortunately, Mercury would have came through at least like the last few degrees of Scorpio and went forward. So now we can begin to open up communication on what is the meaning of this deeper feeling. What is the meaning of feeling deeper into our soul? So for you, Sagittarius, this is about really feeling at a deep core level your self-worth and your self-value, regardless of what you're able to physically manifest, which is interesting because with the moon in Taurus, and the moon likes to be in Taurus, the moon is exalted in Taurus. So naturally around this time, we feel better about ourselves, we feel good, we feel more like we want to relax and just kind of enjoy the simple pleasures in life. So when this happens, when Venus comes out of its shadow zone and the moon makes its transit throughout Taurus, while, of course, you have these three energies in your sign, the Sun, Jupiter, and Mercury, and with Venus in your 12th house coming out of shadow zone. This is about you realizing your self-worth and self-value, even if it's not readily visible to you, readily apparent. Now, Sagittarius, you are the seers of the zodiac, right? You guys are able to see things that seemingly aren't there, but they actually are there. This is what gives you guys that visionary quality, Sagittarius. So this is going to actually require you to be able to know your worth even if you don't have physical evidence for it. That's what's going to make it awkward because this is the quincunx. So that's the interesting thing. That's the interesting relationship between Taurus and Sagittarius energy, is that it's actually a very karmic connection. I think all quincunxes are very karmic connections where these signs teach each other. It's a little bit different than the opposition, where it's the two sides of the same coin. It's like slightly shifted to the left or slightly shifted to the right. So, but the great challenge of this quincunxing energy is that it provides a very deep look into ourselves, whereas Scorpio can almost get lost in Taurus because it's the flip side of Scorpio, right? And Taurus can almost get lost in Scorpio, and this goes for any opposition, right? It can almost be like a blindfold sometimes, the opposition. The quincunx is like, it's, what I'm seeing is like you're looking, you know how like when you're driving and you have like the side mirror and it says that objects in mirror are closer than they appear? That's kind of what the quincunx is. It's like you want to get over, you know, but it's like sometimes it can be, the car can be in a bit of our blind spot, right? Whereas I guess you could say, an opposition is probably with them like right behind you or right in front of you. But then that's what makes it so awkward, because sometimes we don't know when to shift lanes, right? So when it comes to the Sagittarius and Taurus energy, even though we're able to see things that may not be physically apparent or physically present themselves, we have to learn how to manifest our abundance and manifest the value, the infinite abundance that we feel within ourselves. That's there, whether we feel it or not. We have to learn how to be able to manifest it, even if we don't have physical evidence for it. That's what makes Sagittarius energy very powerful and magical, because it's about taking the deeper levels of self-worth that we feel in Sagittarius, it's feel in Scorpio, the sign before it, and then actually begin to transmute a lot of the darkness and the shadows and the fears and the doubts that we have, and then take that into Sagittarius energy and have this grand vision and expand upon it. You'd be like, you know what, I don't care if I don't have the Corvette. I do have the Corvette. I'm driving it right now, like with my eyes closed. I'm envisioning myself driving the Corvette. And that seems a little crazy, right? To have this visionary energy where you just imagine yourself into a situation. But that's what you really want to do. That's what you really want to focus on, Sagittarius. It's going to be very, very powerful for you to manifest even without physical evidence, right? So for the cards, though, we do have the Page of Cups in reverse here as the top card. And then bottom of the deck here, we actually have the Page of Wands. So this is pretty interesting how we have the Page of Cups and the Page of Wands. This could definitely be dealing, this is, the page is initiation energy, it's student energy, it's, it's kind of like freshman energy, I guess you can say. And there are periods in our life where we become, and I'm using the analogy of freshman, I'm thinking like, you know, high school and college, you know, stuff like that. You have freshman, then you have sophomore, junior, and then senior. But it's interesting how we can go from the page and then we can climb up, but then we start back over, you know. So it's like, we start off as a page, and I would say that's probably like freshman year. Sophomore year, junior year, it's like you're the knight. And then when you hit the senior year, you become the king or the queen, right? But what's interesting about this is that you're going to, a lot of you are definitely going to be dealing with, I'm feeling Pisces. I'm definitely feeling Pisces, mainly because the energy is squaring your energy. But what I'm hearing here is that there is going to be this sort of battle within your consciousness that you're going to be feeling of, you know, you're wanting to manifest and have this visionary energy. It's like you're super excited to learn more. You're super excited to expand. It's like I'm seeing a kid or I'm seeing a student who got to go to their dream college, and they're so excited to learn. They're so excited to learn so much about whatever it is that they're studying. And then they get there, and it's fun and it's cool, but they actually get a different vibe off of it than what they kind of projected onto it. And sometimes that can happen where we get super excited about something and then we get there and it's not so much that the grass isn't green, it's kind of like, oh, this wasn't exactly the way I thought it was. But are you going to allow your projection onto whatever it is that you're trying to manifest or whatever it is that you're pursuing? Are you going to allow your projection on what you thought it was supposed to be affect what it actually is? Because what you could be missing out on is some great fulfillment. Let's cut the deck here and see what we got. Cut the deck, and we have the Seven of Pentacles. The Seven of Pentacles. And then bottom of these two decks, we have the Queen of Cups, so the Scorpio energy is coming through again. And then the bottom of this half of the deck, we have the Two of Wands. The Two of Wands. Definitely some type of decision is going to be made here based off of what you have manifested up until this point. The Seven of Pentacles speaks to kind of reaping of a harvest. It's usually shows a man raking leaves, right? And then he's just pondering and looking at the work that he's done. And a lot of times we can do that. We can work on something and the leaves build up, they pile up, and then we take moments to kind of rest and relax and kind of look at things. You know, it's like, ah. And you're kind of probably doing that around the 18th of the month, especially since the sun's going to be conjuncting the galactic center point. You, Sagittarius, are going to begin to get this deeper vision on the direction of the collective. That's kind of the unique perspective that Sagittarius has, is because in many ways, you guys are leading this ascension. You guys are heralding and leading this ascension process, because with the galactic center point, of course, in your sign, which moves very, 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 very slowly, mind you. You can tell that we're headed, it's heading towards Capricorn, but before we do that, we really need to work on our belief structure. We need to really work on our imagination. We need to become the Imagineer. The Imagineer. I think the Two of Wands coming together with the Queen of Cups is in many ways just that. The Queen of Cups speaks to this opening up, this compassion, this ability to be receptive. The Queen of Cups is the most receptive of the queens. She feels into the energy. She's super empathic, right? She can feel the people's emotions. She, she's this very motherly figure, this very much so like, let me take you in and let me nurture you, let me comfort you, let me heal you, beloved. But then we have, of course, the Two of Wands here. So there's going to be this comforting energy coming in, and some of you, of course, this could be you dealing with the Scorpio, a Cancer, or a Pisces, In this case, I feel like the Queen of Cups is a Scorpio, mainly because we have Venus in your 12th house of Scorpio. And then you have the Two of Wands here. So there's definitely a spiritual undertone to this, where in many ways, a lot of you are going to begin to really come into your purpose and know your purpose. And then you have a decision. Are you going to go this way or that way? You're going to have a decision. I'm going to shuffle this half of the deck to see what we get. Because I want to actually dive a little bit more into the message of the Queen of Cups versus the message of the Page of Cups. So this one right here will be the message of the Queen of Cups. And then this one over here is going to be the message of the Page of Cups. I'm going to dive a little bit more into those energies to see, because we have the Page, of course, which is reversed. I almost feel like you are the Page of Cups in many ways. And the Queen of Cups is trying to teach you how to open up more and be receptive to this experience. Be receptive to your guides. Be receptive to your sensitivities. And how being sensitive is actually not a bad thing. It's not something to be, ashamed of. We have the Ace of Swords, is what the Page of Cups is focusing on. And then for the Queen of Cups, we actually have the World. So this is incredible. This is speaking to, oh my gosh, this is actually very applicable to me. This is very applicable to me. The Ace of Swords is speaking to, the Page of Cups is really focused on their voice and their message. The Queen of Cups is focused on the world. So we have this interesting dichotomy. Of course, the Sun being in your sign means that, this is dealing with issues of self and the ego and personality. And not that there's anything wrong with the ego or anything like that. But the interesting thing about Sagittarius energy is that it transmutes the ego into a higher form of the ego in many ways. I like to believe it does. Because in many ways, the fire signs, they kind of represent ego. They represent initiation energy and this being able to actively express ourselves and push it out in a very passionate way. The Page of Cups is focused on the Ace of Swords. So you could be intercepting all these kinds of thoughts and ideas. This is applicable, of course, because Mercury will still be retrograde by the time Venus comes out of its shadow. And by the time you really begin to feel a lot of this energy on whether or not you can manifest, even though you don't have physical evidence for things. The Queen of Cups is focused on the world. So this is essentially saying that this isn't about you. This is about the world. You are a messenger, right? So in many ways, that's kind of how I feel. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I've been thinking like, why did I start YouTube in the first place? Why am I doing this work? Why am I doing, and I've had different platforms from Moment Seekers to, I went out to Colorado and I did Hylugia for a moment, Stone Shaman, and then came back and did Aquarian Adepts, and now I'm Astro Fenixx, and I've been asking myself, why do I do this work? Why do I draw cards? Why do I provide these services? Am I doing it for myself? Am I doing it for others? The Page of Cups being reversed is like, what I'm feeling is that you've wanted to help people in the past, and they didn't accept your help, and it hurt your feelings. So now you're wondering if you should express your voice because you're wondering if anyone's going to listen. But the Queen of Cups is saying that it almost wants you to detach a bit emotionally, right? And Sagittarius, it's kind of interesting because it's not that you're not an emotional sign. Excuse me. You're rather blunt and stuff. But you kind of use that bluntness and you kind of use that optimism to cover up your emotions. Because, as I've said, probably the saddest, like as far as like signs that are depressed, whatever like that, like the saddest, the most heartbreaking ones to see is Leo and Sagittarius. If a Leo or a Sagittarius is depressed, it is so sad to see. It really is. It's like super heartbreaking. If an Aries is depressed, yeah, I mean it's heartbreaking, but Aries is like, it's a little bit different for Aries. It's like, or Pisces, that's like their natural state. Or Cancer, that's like their natural state. Scorpio, that's like their natural state. But to see a Sagittarius depressed or not believing in their own power is really unfortunate. But you have to ask yourself, are you living this life? Are you doing the things that you're doing for you? Or are you doing it for the world? Right? Now, there's nothing wrong with doing things for you. Whenever the sun goes into your sign, if that's your sun sign, it is a revitalization of your character. It is a revitalization of your personality, of your ego. I like to think of whenever the sun transits your sun sign, or say, like I said, if you're Sagittarius and the sun's in Sagittarius, I like to call it your Phoenix rising day. Because it's like you go through the whole year, and then when it hits the 12th house, so when it hits Scorpio for you, it's actually like this deep spiritual death in many ways, but there's like this rekindling when the sun comes into your sign. It's this revitalization, this rebirth. Do you live this? Are you doing this for you, or are you doing it for the world? That's a very important question that you need to ask yourself, because I think, you know, we can take time for ourselves and do things for ourselves, but ultimately, nobody gets out of this thing alive, even though we are all immortal and we're all infinite beings. But as far as this human experience within this physical dimension, nobody gets out of here alive. So what are you going to do? Especially if you find yourself in a very fortunate position. I just saw online that, who was it? A very famous tennis player. I can't remember if it was Federer or the other guy that they always go back and forth. But anyways, he's going to spend like $13.8 million to open up like 80 schools in Africa. That's what I'm talking about. Using your platform and using your fortune, because you got to think, almost pretty much everybody in the world, especially in the Western world, we all have it so fucking good compared to our ancestors. That's why a lot of our ancestors are crabbing at us really hard, because they're sitting here tripping like, you are really upset about this? Do you know what I had to go through back in my day? That's what our ancestors are doing right now to us. They don't understand why we complain so much. Like, first world problems is laughable to our ancestors. So if you find yourself in a position to be able to help somebody, if you find yourself in a position to be able to do something about it, do it, regardless of what happened in the past. Yes, there are going to be people out there that reject your help. There are going to be people out there that think you're delusional, Sagittarius. Why? Because you probably can see dragons, you can see unicorns, you can see mermaids. You chill with the mermaids all the time. You can see all of these mythical beings. The fairies, you see orbs of light, you see aliens, you see all this stuff. And when you tell people this, they're like, Sagittarius, you're fucking crazy. Unless it's a Scorpio, and Scorpio will believe you. Capricorn, well, Capricorn kind of depends on the level of Capricorn and where they are in their journey that they'll believe you. Of course, Aquarius will believe you. Pisces is like, of course, they're like right there with you. They're like holding hands with you pretty much, because you guys are both ruled by Jupiter. Libra can kind of get you. Virgo definitely doesn't understand. Virgo's like, come back down to earth. So Sagittarius, are you doing this for you? Or are you doing this for the world? Are you doing this for you, or are you doing this for the galaxy? For the galaxy. Think about that. We are still trying to figure out how to get along as these small communities. But how does this translate? You know, we're going to go from our small communities to trying to figure out our cities, to our states, to our countries, and then the world's going to unite. But then after the world unites, gotta figure out how to unite the whole galaxy. Because it's Star Wars, baby. There's Star Wars up there. It's crazy up there. Oh, I drew two cards at the same time. We have the Empress, and then we have the King of Pentacles. So very earthy cards here. This is talking about manifesting. This is really talking about manifesting into your life very powerfully and very magically, and very much so connecting to Gaia energy. This will be a very powerful month, especially around the 18th when Venus exits shadow. Around, I would say, like 18th, 19th, through like, I would even say from the 18th, 19th, from the 18th to the 21st, because we also have Venus is going to trine Neptune, which is going to be very powerful for you, because Venus, which is the ruler of Taurus, remember we drew Taurus at the beginning, and then Neptune, which, you know, in many ways is, you know, Sagittarius energy and Neptune energy are kind of similar. So this trining energy is going to actually bring about a miracle or a gift, you know. via your self-worth, your self-confidence, and as it relates to your spiritual story and what you're here to do, your purpose. So around those dates, it will be very, very powerful for you to get out into nature and to do some grounding and to connect to Mother Gaia, to connect with nature. Because if you do that, you're going to feel like the King of Pentacles, where you don't really have any worries. I can't remember what other reading it was I did, but the King of Pentacles does not worry about not having enough money to fund his projects. He doesn't worry about not having enough. There's no such thing as this poverty consciousness with the King of Pentacles. He knows. He knows. And the best way to know is by connecting to nature. Look at the abundance of nature. Just marvel at the abundance of nature. How we have fruits that bear, how we have trees that bear so much fruit. How we have just so much abundance. How it provides for all of the creatures here. That is such a powerful way, and I feel like a lot of you Sagittariuses especially are going to become very environmentally conscious. Very, very environmentally conscious, especially when Uranus comes back into Taurus. A lot of you are going to be championing and leading initiatives to really heal this planet. Let's draw a few more cards here. And then I'm going to do that one. And then we'll do the bottom of that. So we have 4 cards here. So let's see what we have. So let's see what we have here. You have a lot of suits. You have a lot of, I'm going to pick them up in just a moment to show you. But we have the Nine of Wands. We have the King of Cups. We have the Knight of Wands. And we have the King of Wands. This is really, I almost see this as a bit of a, story where the Nine of Wands is like you're sort of preparing for something to come. The Knight of Wands is like, I like to think of it as the kind of the on the edge card. It's like you're preparing for some, either it's an impending battle or it's some type of, you're waiting for something to come. You're just kind of preparing for things, you know, and sometimes it can cause you to tense up a bit when you're preparing too much for something. But then we have the King of Cups here, which is coming in with the Queen of Cups, really kind of helping you to embody that masculine, compassionate side, where I like to think of, like, whenever I see the King of Cups come up, I always envision a king sitting on the throne, and then someone coming in who kind of represents more of that Five of Pentacles energy, where they may have a broken leg, they may be sick, they may have rags and stuff like that. And I see this person coming in, and the King of Cups invites them into the court and clothes them, feeds them, gives them a bath, gives them good water to drink, really helps to make them feel good before they tell their story and why they've come to the court asking for assistance. Then you have the Knight of Wands, which is going to be really, in many ways, a lot of you are going to be feeling like, oh my gosh, I can go get it. I can do it. And in many ways, you're going to almost feel like this impulse to act. But we have the King of Wands here as well. So it's about not necessarily acting in a super rash way, but acting in a more polished, rash way, if that makes any sense. You know those impulsive decisions that you can take, or those impulsive actions that are polished? Does that make sense? This is about taking polished, rash action. That's almost like the theme for you all. Polished, rash action. In the way that not only is beneficial for you, but it's beneficial for the collective. But look at how many court cards that we have. So there's definitely going to be this focus. This focus on other people this month. Which lets me know that it really isn't necessarily about you. This is about the world. Let me, do we have all of the, we almost have all of the Wands cards. Almost. Pretty close. Really close to it. Because we don't have the Queen of Wands here. But we have the Page of Wands here. Court card. We have the Knight of Wands here. Right? We have the King of Wands. Then we have the King of Pentacles. You have 3 kings in here, by the way. You have 3 kings coming to help you out. We have the King of Cups, the Page of Cups, and the Queen of Cups. There's definitely going to be this focus on other people. There's definitely going to be this focus and really just... Sorry, the recording cut out there. But there's definitely going to be this focus on what you can do for other people, and the service that you can provide for other people. And it's going to be like, I'm hearing the best thing that you can do for yourself, and the best way to be happy and to ensure happiness is to help someone else. The best way to ensure your happiness is to help someone else. Regardless of what other people may have said in the past, regardless of how you may have tried to help people in the past and they did not necessarily accept your help or they didn't listen to your story, don't let that stop you. Do not let that stop you, because what I'm seeing here, Sagittarius, this is honestly a very beautiful reading. There's not really any super negative cards here. The only way that this month is going to end up being negative or have a net of negative value for you is if you project your fears and doubts into this. And with Jupiter here, it's going to expand it. So if anything, you can make a mountain out of a molehill this month. But you can do it in a negative way, or you can do it in a positive way. It's really up to you. That is it for your reading, Sagittarius. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And if you'd like a personal reading with me, Sagittarius, you can follow the link in the description below to astrofenixx.com. And always remember, my beautiful brothers and sisters, the dragons of the zodiac, fellow radiators of love. Always remember to keep moving forward, to stay focused, and Yahoo! Smile often.